your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I apologize that I haven't been back on here for a few days. I've been having technical difficulty. Like today, I was trying to figure out how to do a reaction video, and somehow I moved the screen off the screen and I couldn't figure out how to get it back. So I just asked, you guys that watch my videos and follow me and stuff, just to be patient. I'm trying to bring you guys this new content, but again, I'm not, tech savvy, and I'm having a little difficulty trying to figure out all these little electronic gadgets that I got. But for today, I don't want to keep you guys waiting on, until I figure this shit out. So today I just want to retell a story that I had told back on episode 75. I had a few of the details wrong, but the story that I got from that time is about Cuzlo, the one that died in Lee County. Was just from bits and pieces that the homies were sending me kites to when I was in Atwater. Word got back to me when I was sitting in Atwater between 2008, 2015. I think this happened around maybe 2010. Between 9 and 11, all the years just jumbled together. I just remember my time on, the way I counted my time was I was on this yard, I was on that yard, and so on and so forth. So I was in Atwater for a long time, for about 7 years. I lived in one unit, in one cell, longer than I ever lived in a house or in a city. I've always moved around when I was a kid, so sitting in one spot for that long was something new to me. But at the time I got to Atwater, the homies were sending me kites about a homie that got killed in Lee County. But when you ride a kite, when you're sending a kite, you're sending it by, through someone that's being shipped out from Lee County and they're heading over to Atwater. But when you're being transferred, you're going to stop at certain places. Everywhere you stop, you're going to get searched. You're going to get strip searched. They're going to make you cough. They're going to make you strip down, pull up your nutsack, bend over, and all the rest. And before you enter in the facility, they take you to an x-ray machine. And sometimes things show up and sometimes don't. So when you have a hot kite, when we say hot kite, meaning something in there that can get somebody, murked, or you're trying to bust a move or whatever, when you send those type of kites, you have to ride them in a way where whoever intercepted can't really decipher it. But at the same time, if you don't have your codes and certain words established already, then it might be hard for the person that received the kite to decipher it too. I didn't have any codes or any type of words or anything like already established between the people that I communicate with. Because, we never, foresaw that there was a need to have codes and stuff. But organized families, gangs in there, they have established, different codes and how to write letters to where there's no misunderstanding on the people that receives it. Because usually they only use these things, these codes and the structures in their letters when it's pertaining to a hit. And I've been privy to some of the things, how these codes are set up among some of the people that I associate with, just in case that there's a time where they need me to send me a message. But again, I'm not here to break that down or anything like that. So when I was in Atwater, every time a bus comes, my homeboy Ikale, Tech 9, he's from Rose Park, TCG. He's sending me kites about, hey, this is not what you think it is, but the homie got killed over here. He was running Crip. So in my mind, like I mentioned before, was like, well, if he was running Crip, then the only people that could have harmed him was the Crips. And they know how I am as far as like, being somebody that has the homies back. Because if I got a friend that's on another yard and he gets jumped or gets stabbed or killed by whoever on that yard, or if any of those guilty parties come to my yard, I'm the type of person that is going to get some get back. Or if he got homies on my yard, you know what I mean? So the homies were sending me kites because they didn't want me to retaliate, or they didn't want me to do something, especially if it's not the right thing, because they're telling me, hey, it's not what you think, just hold up, or whatever. So through the next few months, the talent that I told you in the videos in number 75 was from people that were there and they were just putting pieces and bits together. And that's what I put together to relay the story to you. But just a couple months back, the homie that I'm talking about that was there in the unit, Ikale, had came down to visit me, And, when he called me, he's like, hey, what's up, man? I'm in town. You want to come and kick it? I was like, oh, you're allowed to talk to me now? Because he had got out like 3-4 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer. But when I found out he got out, I had reached out to him, and his cousin had told him that his girl wouldn't let him talk to me. And, I kind of got in my feelings over that because it's like, me and him, we almost caught a body together in Victorville. That's how we ended up in Lee County, and I ended up in Beaumont. And in my mind, I'm like, dude, I roll with you. We caught a body together. Like, I don't give a fuck who you can and can't talk to, but you can talk to me, But, when he came down and he called me, I went over to go see him. And, we're good, but I was just clowning him about how he was letting his girl dictate how he lived his life or whatever. But, me being married, I kind of have a better understanding. But at the same time, there's just certain level of relationship that your wife has to understand too. That your girl has to understand, and people around you has to understand. Especially if you have a relationship where you spill blood together. To me, that's a different type of bond that, regardless of whoever else come into your life, that you still have to acknowledge. But anyway, when he came down over here to visit, he finally, I asked him, I was like, hey, man, what happened to the homie? Because I never really got it from the horse's mouth. I never really got it from him. He was sending me kites about what was going on. But like I said, the kites that he was sending was vague. And I wasn't able to decipher exactly what happened. And then when people came on the yard that was telling me what happened, they were just saying this and this and that. And I relayed the story to you guys from that. But now I got the whole story. So it goes like this. They were in Lee County. The homie Cuzlo, rest in peace, he was there. He'd been there for a few months. And, he just got sentenced to, a grip of time. All them dudes that was in that Rico Act, all them Glendale dudes, they all had a lot of times. They all had decades to do. He was a youngster, you know. So, he's been stressing over the time that he got, and he's been wanting to like release his frustration out on somebody or something. So when the opportunity came, he was adamant about being a participant in it. They had a Crip dude that came on the compound. He was from Grape Street. That all their homies suspected him to being foul. And they were telling the dude from Grape Street, like, hey, homie, you got to have your paperwork. You got to have your paperwork. There was a few Crip dudes that was already there that knew that he wasn't any good. But at the same time, the way the politic goes is that you got to produce that black and white, which is that paperwork. But with the Crip car, as far as I know, me being around them on the West Coast for all the years that I've been around, they have a 30-day, 60-day policy that you got to produce your paperwork. And if you don't produce your paperwork, or you don't have a legitimate reason why you're not able to produce your paperwork, then they're gonna take it as you're foul. But they're not just gonna take it as you're foul just because you ain't able to produce the paperwork. Mostly it's because there's somebody already there that already knew what's going on with you, and now they're insisting on your paperwork. Because they have rules in place right now, or policy in place, I should say, that we're not allowed to have our PSI, pre-sentencing report, the pre-sentencing investigation. In those paperwork, it shows what you're being charged for. It shows all your enhancement. So if you got prior cases, whatever they use to enhance you, to give you extra points, extra time, it's all in there. If you took a deal with the prosecutor, a 501k, I think it's called 501k, is in there. That means you're cooperating with the feds. If you testified against somebody, if they have a downward departure, they got to give reason why they're going below the guidelines. All these things are in there. And if you want to go further on, you can get your court transcripts. Your court transcripts is every time you're in court, you'll notice that there's a lady or a guy that sits off on the side and they're typing away. So every word that is said in the courtroom is documented, right? So going back to the story, they tell the dude from Grape Street, hey, you got to produce your paperwork, But they know that he's not going to produce it because there's already been a few dudes in there. There's a few dudes that's already there that already knows that he's not right. So, the homie Ikale, he's a Crip. He's from TCG. So he functions with them real tough. And the homie Cuzlo comes and tells him, hey, man, I think they're going to hit this dude over here from Grape Street. I think he's a rat. So the homie's like, yeah, man, just let him do it. They already got people that they're going to pick to go and take and handle the business. But the homie Cuzlo's like, man, I want to go. I'm trying to go over there and handle the business. I'm trying to just, release some frustration, some anger from all the stress and stuff that he's been accumulating while he was going through trial and getting sentenced and all that stuff. But Ikale was telling me, like, he was trying to talk the little homie out of it. Like, nah, man, they already got people already volunteering and stuff. Don't be a crash dummy. Your time will come. I promise you. Being in the penitentiary, this is not going to be the last. And your time's going to come. And on that day, it was raining. And they've already decided, because I guess the dude's time expired to produce his paperwork. So on that day, when his time expired, they've already made up their mind that they're just going to punish this dude anyway. But the day it was raining, and they're like trying to trick him out to the yard. Like, hey, we're having a homie get together or whatever. but it was raining. So when they called the move, the homie Kale went and looked out the window, and there's nobody on the yard but a handful of Crip dudes. But this dude is not going out because he already know that he's getting set up to go out. Because he already know in his heart of heart that he's fucked up and that these people know that he's fucked up. So he didn't go out to the yard on the particular day they were trying to trick him out there. So when the next move comes in, Kale, he's sitting in the block watching TV, and he see the homie come through. As soon as he see the homie come through, he already knew. So he went up to the homie like, hey, man, what are you doing in here? Oh, man, we over here, looking for dude. He goes, man, again, like, when he was telling me the story, I can see in his face that a part of him felt like he didn't do enough to stop the homie from participating in this mission. But we're all our own men. And no matter how much advice you get, no matter how many times somebody tell you something, at the end of the day, you're going to make up your own mind and you're going to do what you're going to do. And sometimes it turns out to be detrimental to your health and even your life. Really think about it. Like a lot of us, like me in particular, if I would have listened to my parents, to older people around me that was out here, that was trying to help me, do the right thing, trying to help me take a different course in my life, if I would have just listened to one of them, I might not be right here right now, having had to spend the last 2 decades of my life in a freaking box. But at the end of the day, I did what I wanted to do. And the choices I made, made it pretty rough for the last 2 decades. So he comes in and he's asking Kale, man, where's dude cell at? And Kale tells him that he's upstairs over there in whatever room. So there was 3 of them. They all broke off. One went up the stairs one way, one went the other stairs the other way, and they went to his room. But when they went to his room, the light was off. They looked in the window or whatever. They couldn't see it. So they come back downstairs and like, man, he's not in there. The light's off. So now they know this dude is hiding in a unit somewhere. So they're running around, going to different doors, different cells that they know he might be kicking it in or whatever, trying to find him. They're searching for about 10, 15 minutes. One, they're out of bounds. They're in a different unit trying to hit this dude. And so as they're walking around, they can't find the dude. And they're like, man, where's this dude hiding out at? So they came to the conclusion, well, nobody in the block is going to let him hide in their cell because they already know he's fucked up. They already know there's a hit put on him, and they don't want to be involved. Because if you know this dude is fucked up and you let this dude hide out in your cell, then the people that's looking for him might feel some type of way because now you're inserting yourself. Things about the politics in prison. If you speak up on an issue, you better stand on it. If you back someone's play or help someone in some way, shape, or form, you better stand on it because they're going to hold you accountable. So understanding that, the only conclusion was that he's hiding in his cell. He's got the lights turned off. So all 3 of them went back upstairs to the dude's cell. They looked in the window again, and the light was off. And they couldn't see nothing. So they're like, fuck it, he's in there. So the homie Cuzlo was the first one. He reached out, opened the door, And when they opened the door, the dude from Grape Street was bent down under the window in front of the door where his lights turned off. So when the doors popped open, he reached out and stabbed the homie, pop, with an ice pick. But the homie didn't even feel it. You know, when he got hit, he's like, boom. And he just started taking off on dude. And dude ain't, and the homie ain't small. You know what I mean? He's Tongan. So if you guys know anything about Polynesians, they come in extra, you know, extra big size, extra large, right? So he's punishing him. He's piecing him up. While he's piecing him up, the other two Crip dude that was with him got in on the action. They took the knife from the Grape Street dude and started stabbing him with the knife. They had their own, and they were punishing him, stabbing him. Now, what happened next was, you know, the homie Ikale, he's downstairs and he's watching the whole thing. And the door is wide open because it's right there inside the cell. And they're smashing on him, they're stabbing on him. And here comes the CO. They're running up there, you know, to go detain the situation. But before they got there, Ikale was watching the homie, and he seen the homie at first, you know, with a lot of energy and just bing, 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 bing. But he said he noticed like his movement started getting a little slower. You know, he was kicking the dude, kicking him or whatever he's doing, stomping him out. And he was just like, you know, just noted, like he wasn't sure what was going on, but he just seen the homie's movement was like a little, like I said, a little slower than what it was. And it wasn't because, you know, it never entered his mind that that the homie was getting tired or anything like that. So when the COs came, cuffed them all up and took him out, they said the homie was cuffed up behind his back. Two COs was escorting him. And while the homie was coming down the stairs, his leg gave out, you know, and he just started like looking like he was woozy. And his leg gave out, his leg buckled from under him, and he fainted, you know. They took him up to medical, and they found out that he had got stabbed in the back of the neck. You know, when he opened that door, when dude jumped up and hit him, he just hit him in a perfect spot. So, you know, like, we know everybody's family out here. You know, I don't know him personally, but he's related to some of my homeboys out here. He's from the hood of some of my homeboys out here. And one of the older dudes that was there with us when the homie Kale was telling the story worked with dude's dad. And he was saying, you know, his dad was always coming asking questions about, you know, the criminal justice system, how, you know, he just found out that his son got all this time and got sent to federal prison. And he was always, every time he came to work, you know, he still had hope. You know, he was asking about, hey, how does the appeal work? You know, what can we do to help him get his time down? What lawyer can we hire? This and that. Every day he was engaging with the homie, asking questions about the system. But he said the next, you know, after the incident happened, when he showed up to work, he saw, you know, the dad come to work, and he just said, like, the life just left him. You know, he was just like a zombie, just going through the routine. He no longer had any light in his eyes, and he wasn't talking anymore about anything. And while we're sitting there, visiting, and they were telling the stories, you can't help but, feel some type of way about it. Again, I emphasize, like, we're not the only one that's affected by our actions. We have people that care about us. And when something happens to us, they're affected. If I die, I might go to a better place. I don't know. Who knows what's out there after this. But the people that's left behind is the one that has to mourn and the one that suffer. And I just felt I had to retell that story as far as, we make decisions. We all make our own decisions. We all make our own bed. And sometimes we have people around us that are trying to save us by giving us advice or by trying to stop us from doing certain things. But we always seem to think that we know better than everybody else. And then some shit like this happens. I tell everybody all the time, when you go on a mission, there's no guarantee that it's going to work out the way you expect it to. It doesn't matter if you outnumber your victim. It doesn't matter if you're going there with 2 or 3 dudes and there's only one of them. Busters kill too. And especially if you got a rat cornered, they're a living entity. Any living entity is going to do everything possible to keep on living. And if they know they're about to die, they're going to fight tooth and nail. So why you never underestimate an opponent. Doesn't matter if dude's a rat. Doesn't matter if dude's a buster. He can harm you just as much as you can harm him. And again, I hate to have relived this story, but, I wish his family the best. Rest in peace to Cuz Lope, to Lil Cuz. And, yeah, man, it's a messed up situation. Welcome to the USP.